I'm just dusting my office today. You know, like I always say, it's very important to be shipshape here in the big harbor. Oh, look up there. But there's a lot of dust up there. And I bet I can reach it. Oh, no, not tall enough. What can I use? I'll use this stool. That'll do the trick. See now, here we go. No, still not tall enough. I know. I'll put the stool on the chair and then, oh no, it's very wobbly. It's too dangerous. I don't want to get into the same kind of trouble that Emily did the other day. Well, let me tell you about it. One morning, Emily was pulling a cargo ship out of the big harbor. She did a careful turn around Bedford, the little bellbuoy who lives out where the harbor ends and the ocean begins. Here we are, Emily called to the ship. You're on your own now. Thanks, Emily, said the ship. That was great tugging. Well, thank you, said Emily. Now, Blandford is another bellbuoy who lives further away from the big harbor. Emily did a jazzy little loop around Blandford. Then she did it backwards, just for fun. That was a great turn, Emily, dinged Blandford. Just then, they heard a croaky little horn. Sure enough, it was Digby, the cable ship. He was busy laying cable along the shore. Emily makes the best turns in the big harbor, shouted Digby. I get stuck just turning on me engine, he added to himself. You see, Digby is always getting stuck somewhere. Emily laughed, but it was nice that everyone thought she was so good at making turns. It was still early in the day. The sun felt warm and friendly on her hull, and Emily had nothing else to do. She decided to take her time getting back to the harbor. She set off again, zigging this way and zagging that. There was nothing better than whooshing through the waves with a great big smile. It was always pretty out near the far shore. Off in the distance, Emily could see a very special sight. The Pictou Peaks. Now, the Pictou Peaks are giant rocks that poke up out of the shallow water along the shore. They have the most amazing shapes worn down by the waves. Of course, Emily had seen the Pictou Peaks many times before on her way home. The peaks are a dangerous place for a boat to float, but today, well, today they look different. Today, they look like a fun place to do fast turns. Should I? She thought. Well, the next thing she knew, Emily's engine began to pound louder, and her propeller seemed to be leading her towards the Pictou Peaks without her even doing anything. The Pictou Peaks towered all around Emily and kind of made her feel like she was floating in the middle of a great mountain range. She did a lazy little loop around one of the smaller peaks. It's not dangerous at all, she thought to herself. Emily sped up a little and did a snappy spin around a bigger peak. This time, she could almost feel the rocks against her bumpers. This is fun, she shouted out loud. Emily began to make more turns around the Pictou Peaks. And you know, it was kind of funny, but the faster she went and the closer she got to the peaks, the smaller they seemed, and the bigger Emily felt. Look at those, said Emily. Not that far away, she saw two peaks, very close together, and it looked like there was just enough room for a tugboat to squeeze through. I bet I could do it, she thought to herself. turned towards the Twin Peaks. She slowed a moment to catch her breath. Then she roared her engine, spun her propeller, and off she went. "I can do it," she shouted. "I can do it." Those two peaks looked closer together than they did at first. Emily was going faster and faster and faster. Too late to stop now. "I can do it!" Only time for one last little turn to line herself up so she could squeeze through the peaks and... Suddenly, everything was very, very still. Emily tried to move, but she couldn't. She was stuck between the Twin Peaks. Back in the big harbor, Theodore was waiting for Emily to come home. "Bedford, have you seen Emily?" he asked. "She was here a little while ago," dinged the bellboy. "Isn't she back yet?" "That's funny," thought Theodore. "I wonder where she could be." "Things like this only happen to Digby," groaned Emily. You see, Digby the cable ship was always getting stuck, not her. After all, she made the best turns in the whole harbor. "I bet I could get out of here by myself," she decided. Emily began to wiggle and jiggle and rock and roll back and forth, trying to get herself unstuck from between those peaks. "I can do it," she grunted. "I can do it." But she was only getting herself stuck tighter and tighter. Now who should come floating by that very moment but Digby? Am I stuck?" said Digby. "I'm stuck," replied Emily quietly. Did I get you stuck?" continued Digby. "I got myself stuck," said Emily. "So, you're saying then," Digby went on, "that I am not in any manner whatsoever, at all, currently stuck?" You see, Digby just couldn't believe that someone other than himself was stuck somewhere. Especially Emily. "I won't be stuck for long," blared Emily. Emily roared her engine and tried to push herself free again. But she couldn't budge, not one bit. "Don't worry, Emily," shouted Digby. "I'll get help." Digby began blasting his croaky little horn before Emily could say a word. She certainly didn't want the whole harbor to know that she was stuck. Theodore was just about to turn back to the harbor when he heard the croaky horn. "That's Digby," he said. "He's probably stuck again." Theodore followed Digby's croaky horn all the way to the Pictou Peaks, where he saw an astonishing sight. "Digby," said Theodore, "you're not..." "Stuck," said Digby. "I know, Theodore. I can't hardly get over it myself." Then why did you call me?" asked Theodore. Theodore slowly turned to look where Digby was looking and saw an even more astonishing sight. "Emily, what are you doing there?" "Stuck," muttered Emily. "What'd you say, Emily?" asked Theodore. "I'm stuck," mumbled Emily. "You're what?" asked Theodore. "She says she's stuck, Theodore," hollered Digby. Well, Theodore just couldn't believe it. Emily never got stuck. "Well, what happened?" he asked. Did a big wave suddenly come up and push you into those peaks?" "No," said Emily. Did a huge whale knock you off course? Theodore went on. Not exactly, said Emily. Did you slip on a giant sea snake? Theodore was running out of things to think of. I just got stuck, said Emily quietly. Well, don't worry, said Theodore. I'll get you out of there. Theodore carefully looped around the peaks. It was a tight turn to make, but he nosed right up between them until he and Emily were bumper to bumper. And then he began to push. Emily sure was stuck. Theodore put more steam in his shove, poured on the power, and soon his friend came popping out between those two peaks just like a giant cork from a bottle. Free. That was some good rescue there, Theodore, called Digby, floating off. See you later. I never thought I'd be rescuing you, Emily, said Theodore. I didn't either, said Emily sadly. She felt terrible about getting stuck. Well, how did you get stuck? Asked Theodore. I was doing turns all around the Pictou Peaks, replied Emily. You were? Said Theodore. He'd never heard of anyone doing that. First, I did a little loop over here, explained Emily. Well, that was great, said Theodore. And then, continued Emily, I did a spin around here. Wow, said Theodore. Emily, you're the best at making turns. Well, for the first time, Emily smiled. And then, she said, I tried to turn right through those two peaks. Right through them? Gasped Theodore. Emily began to head toward the two peaks again. But this time, she stopped. I won't try that again, she said. Emily, said Theodore, can you show me how to make great turns too? Sure, said Emily right away. And so the two tugs set off, zigging this way and zagging that. There was nothing better than whooshing through the waves with great big smiles. You know, I think I'm going to do the safe thing, like Emily. Yeah. This goes over here. And this goes over here. Oh, but how am I going to reach up there and do my dusting? I have an idea. Ha-ha. If the harbor master can't go to the ceiling, then the ceiling must come to the harbor master. Thanks for visiting us here in the Big Harbor, and we'll see you all again next time. Bye-bye. This is much better. I'll have this office ship-shape in no time.
Theodore, he's a tugboat and a friendly tugboat too. A friendly tugboat too. Oh, Theodore likes to do the things that friendly tugboats do. Pushing and a pulling in the great big harbor, in the great big world is so much fun. So many brand new things to discover. Waking with the sun, gotta get the job done. Oh, Theodore and Emily, Theodore, Hank and George and the harbor master too.